Can't be in a better place at a better time than tuning into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, no, we're not done. You get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, and everybody else out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one bundle, one package, one message, and what you get is the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the show, the book known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Welcome to the show. Today's topic, I think this topic is maybe 1,400 episodes late, but we're going to put it out there today anyway. The topic is, who is Work on Your Game for? Who exactly should be listening to the message that I'm putting out here today? Now, while you may have been listening to the show for a while by now, you may have already decided that you're someone who's in this audience, regardless of what I'm going to say today. I still want to lay this out here so I have it documented. If you couldn't tell, I like to take my ideas and my thoughts and my perspectives and get them on the record, whether that be in written format, video format, or audio format, and often all three formats. I want to lay out who exactly Work on Your Game is for, who should be paying attention to this, and maybe, just maybe, you may know someone, you're already listening, but you may know someone who fits the description of what I'm going to lay out here today and say, you know what, I know someone who actually is exactly who you just described here, Dre. I'm going to get them to start listening to this because you just said that the show is for them. And you can let them listen to this episode and they can decide for themselves. So I want to lay this out now. So anybody who's listening, you could decide if you are in the right place and how the Work on Your Game message can help you, or the Work on Your Game message can help somebody that you know. And this concept, the ideas that I'm laying out here today are the same ideas that I had in mind when I wrote my book, Work on Your Game. So if you read that book and it touched you in any way, if it resonated with you in any way, then you probably fit into one of these categories I'm going to lay out here today. I'm going to give you, let's see what we have here, three and only three groups of people who this philosophy of Work on Your Game is for. So it could be this podcast, it could be anything I talk about on video, on YouTube, it could be any blogs or emails of mine that you read, it could be any of my books. If you fit into one of these three groups that I'm going to lay out here today in any area of your life, then Work on Your Game is for you. If you don't, then Work on Your Game is not for you. So let's get into it. Number one, topic again today is, who is Work on Your Game for? And that means the whole philosophy. It doesn't matter what format. The whole philosophy is for one of these three type of people. Number one, the individual who has no game. That's the first group. You have no game. Now, your game is whatever it is you are doing in life, whatever you're angling for in life. And when I say having no game, for those of you who don't understand that slang, that comes from me playing sports. In basketball, if somebody was weak, we would say they were trash or garbage or ass, or you just have no game. You don't have any game. There was a movie back in the 90s maybe, called He Got Game. Maybe it was the 2000s. He Got Game. Ray Allen acted in the movie. Spike Lee put the movie together. He Got Game means somebody has skills at what they're doing. It doesn't have to be sports though. Game could be, if you're out there, who was it? What was that guy's name? I can't even remember the dude's name. It's escaping me right now. But he wrote a book called, I believe the book was called The Game. And the book was all about this dude who was a writer. And he infiltrated and became part of a group of pickup artists. And he wrote a whole book about how these guys just go around and talk to girls at bars. And there's a whole strategy to this. There's a lot of neuro-linguistic programming, a whole strategy. Damn, the guy's name, Neil Strauss. That's his name, Neil Strauss. He was the author. The book is called, I believe the book is called The Game, I believe. Well, you're going to look it up. And again, look up that name. And his was all about being a pickup artist, talking to girls and dating girls and having sex with girls. That was his thing, game. In basketball, it's being able to play basketball. In business, your game might be advertising. Your game might be marketing. Your game might be putting together products. Your game might be building your brand. Whatever you're trying to be good at in life and leverage to success, if you feel like your skill set is not as sharp as it could be, or not as complete, your package of abilities are not as complete as it could be, that means there's some lack in your game. Okay, you don't have to have zero game, but you can, if you have an understanding that your game could be better, that your skills could improve, that you could stand to elevate your ability to perform, that's who this show is for. That's the first category of people this is for. Your game is lacking in some way, maybe in a small way, but you know that it's lacking. And you are owning this truth that something is missing in your game, and even better, you've decided to do something about it. Because there are a lot of people out there who have no game, but they're not doing anything about it. There are a lot of people out there who have no game and they're doing nothing, not because they don't recognize that they lack game, but they just don't want to take any action. Maybe they feel like, you know what, my game is at about 60% of where it could be, but I'm good with 60%. All right, this show is not for you. Or this is the person whose game is at about 60% of where it could be, but if you ask them, they'll say their game is at 100%. This show is not for you. This show is for the person whose game is somewhere under 100%. You accept the fact, and not even accept, let's say you own the fact, you recognize the fact, acknowledge that your game is at less than 100%, and you are responsible. You acknowledge that you're responsible for doing something about it. That's the person that I want to talk to. If you're not that, this show is not for you. I want you to understand, it is commendable that you are taking responsibility for the fact that your game's not where it could be, because many people just don't want to admit that they're less than great, and then the people who do admit it, they don't want to do nothing about it. Someone else's fault. I can't help people who don't think they're responsible for where they are. All right, so wherever you are in life, in your business, or in a particular area of your being, if you are not 100% responsible for it, I cannot help you with it. This is I told you this anecdote about how this guy was explaining how to talk to your prospective coaching clients. Any of you out there who do any coaching one-on-one with people, you ask them, where do you want to be as a result of working with me? Then you ask them, why haven't they gotten there already? What's stopping them from getting it already? And then you ask them, why have they not gotten there? What is the reason why you have not achieved these goals and you're looking for a coach to help you get there? What are the reasons that you haven't done it already? What has stopped you from doing it over the last 20 years of your life that now you're getting a coach to help you get there? Why haven't you done it on your own? Ask them that question directly and then let them answer. And if their answers are all about this person, that person, this situation, whether this, and somebody did me wrong, that, if all their answers are pointing to externalities, things that caused it, they're blaming their lack of achievement on anything other than themselves, you should not take that person on as a client, because they will never be satisfied no matter how great you are. But on the other hand, that person's answers are all about, I didn't do this, I haven't believed in myself, I haven't taken the action, I need to get more serious, I need somebody to kick me in the ass, I need somebody to light a fire under my butt. Those are the people you should take on as clients, because they are taking ownership of the fact that they are where they are, and therefore when you give them what you give them as a coach, they will still take ownership of it, and they're going to do something with what you give them. And even if they fail, they're not going to blame you for it. All right, you don't want any bad reviews on your record, right? So make sure you don't take on people who are a walking bad review because they're not taking ownership. Point number 2. Today's topic is, who is the work on your game philosophy for? So we know the first group of people is people who your game needs something and you know you got to do something about it. Here's the second group. Maybe you feel like you have a solid amount of game. Now, I think most of us all would agree that none of us has ever had 1,000% with our game. We could all always get better. But let's say your biggest challenge right now, let's put it that way, while you may think you need to get better, that's not the biggest challenge right now, is that your game is good enough, but for whatever reason, your game is not being seen and or is not producing the returns that you want based on your abilities. Based on what you can do, you don't feel like your game is getting the respect that it should be getting. Maybe it means you're not making the kind of money you want to make. Maybe it means you're not being recognized by the bosses. Maybe it means you're trying out for sports teams and you're not making the teams. Or maybe you're on the team, but you're not getting in the game. Or maybe you're getting in the game, but the coach is not putting you in position to play the way that you want to play because the coach feels for some reason that you're not capable of doing the things that you know you're capable of doing. For whatever reason, you are not getting the results that you want from your game. This is the second group of people that work on your game is targeted to. This is the person who has developed some skills. You have a solid level of skill, but your skills are outpacing your results and you're unsatisfied with that fact. Does any of you feel that way? That you have more skills than you have results? In other words, when you look at your skill set and what you bring to the table versus the results that you are getting from those skills, you feel like you're a little bit underrated, I guess we can say. You feel like you're bringing way more to the table than you're taking home off the table. If you feel that way, then I make this content for you. I make my courses for you. I do my coaching for people like you. I do my keynotes and my TED Talks and write my articles for people like you. You're just not getting the ROI from your game that you feel like you should. So this is the athlete who practices and trains, but nobody seems to care. Or the person who has great products and great content, but nobody's buying and nobody's listening. Or the person who's really smart, but your life doesn't look as smart as you are in your head. Anybody feel that way? Like, man, I got all these skills and all these abilities and I can do this, this, and this. But then you look at the results of your life and it doesn't look like the way that you feel about yourself. In other words, you haven't translated your abilities into the type of success you feel like you should have. Now, listen, just like in group number one, all of us could always be in this group because the better any of us gets, the more juice we want to squeeze out of that orange. So every time I add a new skill to my skill set, okay, now I'm expecting to get a little bit more success. I added skill, I should get more success. It just makes sense, right? There's no purpose in adding skill if I'm not going to get anything out of it. So every new skill you obtain, you may be thinking, oh, I could do more than what I've been doing since I have more skills now. I can achieve more because I can do more. I know more, so I can do more. So anyone who's in this second group, you're a person who wants to get the most you can out of everything that you have, and you're always adding to what you have. Especially if you're listening to me every day, you're always adding to your skill set. You're always reminding yourself of abilities that you have. Then there's no reason why you shouldn't always be upping the amount of returns that you are producing. And if you're not getting those returns, then that's the reason why you're listening to this. That's the reason why you read me, watch me, buy from me, subscribe to me, because I'm going to give you some things that'll help you get the most out of that, squeeze the most juice out of that orange, metaphorically speaking, or maybe literally speaking. Point number 3. Today's topic is, who is the work on your game philosophy for? Who am I making this content for? Who do I write the books for? Who do I make my courses for? Who is the target audience? Point number 3. Third type of person is the individual who you have game. All right, maybe your game's not at 100%, but again, game is not your biggest problem right now. It's not your number one challenge right now. Your number one challenge is, even though you have skill, when it comes time to show that skill, for whatever reason, your skill is not showing when you need it to show. So this is different from the second group. The second type of person is the person who you have a lot of skill and you feel like you're showing it, but nobody seems to be responding. The third type of person is the person who you have a lot of skill and you feel like you're not showing it. For whatever reason, it's just not coming out of you. Even though you know it's in you, it's not coming out of you. All right, that's the third type of person. This is the person with the performance issue. So the first type of person that I talked about has a skill/ability issue. Second person has a results issue. The third person has a performance issue. Skill, results, performance. Life, ladies and gentlemen, is a performance and results based business. You see how that works? How the second and third type of person need results and performance respectively. That's all life is about. The business of life is about producing results and performing in order to produce those results. So if you got a problem doing either one of those, all right, then you got a life problem, and that's the reason why I'm here, to help you with that. If you're not performing when it matters, that's something that needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed immediately. It should be top of mind for you when it comes to working on your game. All right, so the person in point number 2, the second type is good but unrecognized, but this person is, you haven't yet proved it that you're good, but you need to prove that you're good because you know you are. You feel you have the tools to prove something, but you haven't proved it. Nobody believes it because you haven't done it. This is the athlete who trains really hard, but you don't play well in the games. Or the person who reads all the books and has all the knowledge, but you still can't get your point across in the conversation. See, there's a huge difference, ladies and gentlemen, between developing skill and displaying skill. There's a big difference between working on your game and showing your game. Has any of you ever been or ever known someone who worked on their game, had the abilities? You knew that they had the abilities. Maybe if we're talking about you, you know that you have the abilities, but you are not actually displaying your abilities. Your game is not really out there the way that you feel like it should be out there. You're not performing. You're not saying the right thing. The right words are not coming to you till it's too late. You're not doing what you're supposed to do once you get in the game. You're not saying the things that you want to say when you're in the midst of that conversation. That's the third type of person that the show is for. Again, the difference between developing a skill and displaying a skill. They are two separate disciplines. So there's a whole discipline around working on your game and developing the skill set. But there's another discipline when it comes to actually showing it when it matters, where it matters, in front of whom it matters. This is the athlete who says to me, Dre, I play really great when I'm playing with my friends at the local park or practicing with my team that I'm comfortable with. But then I get in a game at a different park across town against some kids that I don't know, or I get in a game with my school team and I'm playing against some players who I don't know, and all of a sudden I freeze up. My hands get sweaty. I'm not doing any of my moves. I don't play well at all. It's almost like I forgot how to play, even though I know I have the skills. See, there's a difference between having the skill and showing the skill, and that those two disciplines, you got to understand that they're separate and you must treat them each differently. And that's why I have a book called How to Play Basketball as Well as You Practice for you basketball players, which you can get at hoophandbook.com/free. But this is all about performing. And also I got a book called The 4 Mental Game Tools of Basketball. You can get that also at hoophandbook.com, but you also at workonmygame.com. Developing skill, displaying skill. Point number 4, today's topic is who is the work on your game philosophy for? So we got the person who needs the skill, person who needs to produce results, and the person who needs to perform. Here's the 4th point. If you fit one of the above descriptions, having the need to develop game, get recognized for your game, or show your game, then you are in the right place. So I want you to start by obtaining 1, 2, or 3 of the following books, which you can get all of them for free. First one is The Mirror of Motivation, the self-guide to self-discipline. I'll talk about this book every single day. You heard the advertisement that came on here, right? This is pushing yourself, lighting that fire within you so you can be who you need to be to get what you want to get in life. You get that at mirrorofmotivation.com. If you happen to be a basketball player trying to develop your skill, get the book How to Play as Well as You Practice. This helps you deal with performance anxiety and take the skills that you have in practice and translate them to the live games and be even better than you were in practice. You'd be that in the game. Get that at hoophandbook.com/free. The 3rd book, for those of you who are looking to play professional basketball, get yourself seen, heard, and known for your basketball skills because you believe you are pro ready. Go to balloverseas.com and get my book, The Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This is the only reference guide in existence that shows you how to create a professional basketball career literally from nothing, the same way that I did. That book is called The Overseas Basketball Blueprint. You get that at balloverseas.com. So let's recap today's topic, which is who is the work on your game philosophy? This whole thing, who is this for? I'm laying this out now. Again, 1,300 episodes late, but better late than never. Who is the person who, what situation are you in right now in life that you would need to listen to this? And I'm targeting you with my messages. Number 1, person who has no game. You have no skill, or maybe you don't have 100% of the game that you want to have. Let's put it that way. You're not at 0, but it's not at 100. All right. And you are owning the fact that you need to do something about it. And a lot of people don't want to take ownership of the fact that their skill level is not where it needs to be. They're blaming other people all the time about their lack of skill. Those people I can't help. So the person who's taking ownership of the fact that you need more skill, I'm talking to you. Point number 2. This is the person who has game but is not being seen or is not producing the results that you want. In other words, you have a results problem. So the first person has a skill problem. Second person has a results problem. This is a person who you feel like you have the abilities, but your abilities are outpacing the results that you are producing. This is the player who practices and trains, but nobody seems to give a damn, or you have great material, but nobody's paying attention to it. Somebody could always be in this group because the better we get, the more we want to squeeze the juice out of that orange. So every new skill you obtain, you're always thinking of how you can step your game up even more. Not everybody thinks like that, but there are some people who do. And point number 3, this is a person who has game, but you're not performing with your game. So we got the skill challenge, we got the results challenge, and we got the performance challenge. We know that life is a results-based business. It's a performance-based business. If you don't perform, you can't get results. If you don't get results, then you won't be in business for too long. There's a difference between the second person and this third person. This third person is the person who reads the books, but they can't get their point across in conversation, or the athlete who trains hard, but they don't play well in the games. Understand that developing skill and displaying skill are 2 separate disciplines, but I help you with both. And point number 4, if you fit any one of the above, you have a game. You need to develop game, you need to get recognized for your game, or you need to show your game that you are in the right place. The 3 free books that I mentioned again, The Mirror of Motivation, which you can get at mirrorofmotivation.com. The Overseas Basketball Blueprint, get that at balloverseas.com. Now, How to Play as Well as You Practice, get that at hoophandbook.com. And let's work on your game. I'll see you tomorrow as we get even deeper into this. And oh yeah, if you are new to this show, because you heard this, then what you need to do is go into the archive of this show at workonmygame.com/game group. Game group members, you already got your link to log in. Go through that archive and pick and choose amongst the evergreen topics that are all laid out there for you, categorized, they're ordered. You can listen from episode 1 and just listen to every single one. That's what I suggest you do. If you want to listen to one on a specific topic, I got that laid out for you too. And there's a bunch of other stuff there in the game group that I don't even talk about here every day because it's so much that it would take me a whole episode just to lay it all out for you. That's why I'm giving you a free 2-week trial. So if you are not a member of the game group and you're listening to this, go to workonmygame.com/game group and get your 2-week trial, free 14-day trial. Access everything in the game group, every past episode of this show, every masterclass that I've ever put out. That alone is worth so much more than what you could ever pay me for the game group membership. So I suggest you get there right now. Work on your game. Dre, all